Hi, this is Mark Prather, founder of Mark One Mortgage, Mark One Real Estate Wealth Academy. It is 4 o'clock, so it is time to get the show on the road. All right, here's what we're going to talk about: the first-time home buyer's guide to building wealth. You know, in all my years in the real estate and mortgage industry, over 40, I've never seen a presentation, educational presentation like this put together before, and here's what's unique about it, is we're going to not only show you about the process of starting and to buy property, but how to elevate your real estate and build wealth. Now, as I mentioned, my name is Mark Prather. I got in the real estate industry right out of high school, as you can see, in 1977. I started my own company in 1981, and I've had Mark One Mortgage ever since. I've pretty much done everything you can do in the real estate and the mortgage industry. And over my long career, I've learned some really profound facts about wealth growth through real estate that I'm going to share with you today. So we're going to start about how to get into the game, but I'm going to show you some things that I think are going to blow your mind. But here's the first critically important question. And by the way, if you have something to take notes, that will be really helpful, whether it's an iPad or just a pen and a paper. But let's start with this. Why should someone buy real estate? You know, when I ask that question, not to consumers, but to agents, to people, real estate salespeople, say, why is it important for someone to buy real estate? You know, the reality is, and the truth is, most people don't know the answer. Let me give you the critical answer. See, shelter or a roof over your head, I mean, you can rent shelter. You don't need to own real estate to have a home to live in. You can rent. But here are some of the key reasons. Number one is financial security. You know, we all want to be financially secure. Worrying about money, and over 80% of the people, on average, about 83% of the people in every age category, 20s, 30s, all the way up to the time people die, over 80% in every age category worry about money. It's a perpetual thing. And it doesn't have to be that way. But the reason they worry about money is because financial literacy is just not taught in this country, not on the high school level, not on the college level. The thing that I have learned, I didn't learn them in books, I didn't learn them in classes, I learned them with my own money through the years, and that's why some of the things you're going to learn today haven't been taught anyplace else. Number two is inflation. I like to say inflation is your best friend or your worst enemy. Now, inflation is always here. It's by government design. What that means is that, see, the government wants prices to go up. Imagine if home prices never went up. If home prices were still $20,000 like they were in 1968, no one would buy a house, because what would be the point? It's never going to go up in value. It's just going to be the same. So wealth growth and wealth creation is critically important for economy to move on. So the government wants to keep inflation going, but here's the problem: is inflation is like gasoline, and if you light inflation, it can explode and can grow really rapidly, and so it's really difficult to control. And that's what's happening right now. You know, last year we had COVID hit, the economy started locking down, and we were headed toward a depression type of economic environment. Well, the Fed didn't want to have that happen again, like what we experienced in 2008. So they started printing money and dropping interest rates to zero and all of this to get the economy turned around, which they did. But now they got another problem. Now we have significant inflation, the highest inflation in over 20 years, and getting worse. And you're seeing this at the fuel pumps and all these things. Now, here's my point. My point is this: the top 10% of the people in this country are getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. The middle class is the 50 to 90%. They are falling farther and farther behind. And then the bottom 50%, which are renters for the most part, are getting buried. because you cannot keep up saving money. You're going to lose the inflation battle. The only way you can win is you have to own assets, and the best asset starts with owning a home, and then second is owning more homes. All right, number three, it eliminates the need to save money for return. You know, if we were to ask 1,000 people, can you retire without saving money? Out of that 1,000, how many do you think would say yes? Probably none. But the simple truth is you don't need to save money to build wealth or retire. Now, I'm not discouraging saving money. If you can save money, that's a great thing. But I'm going to show you how you can build massive wealth and retire early, way sooner than a 401k or IRA will get you there without saving money. And that's number four, is you can grow wealth far faster than stocks. In fact, I've run the numbers. In the past 5 years, if you would have bought a property for $600,000 with, let's say, 10% down or $60,000, or with that same $60,000 in the stock market, in real estate, you would have created 7 times more wealth in the past 5 years than you repeat that. $60,000 in your 401k versus $60,000 in a property, you would have grown your wealth 7 times greater than the 401k. And yet, very few people know that. And lastly, is you can create retirement income far faster and far safer than stock. And I'll show you why that's the case as we go through this presentation. All right, first, the cost of renting versus the cost of buying real estate. When is $3,000 not $3,000? Here's what I'm talking about. This is a trick question for you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a heads up. This is a trick question. If you're paying $3,000 a month for rent, or you buy that same house and the mortgage payment is $3,000, which is less? See, the average renter says, well, hey, if I'm renting, I'm paying $3,000, I'm going to buy it $3,000, there's no difference. That is not true. There's a huge difference, and I'm going to show you that. We call this the real cost of renting. So let me show you the difference between the two. Let's say you're paying $3,000 a month to rent a house, and you want to buy this property, and you go, well, the payment is going to be $3,328 to buy that same property. And the average person is going to look at that and go, well, I like $3,000 a month better than $3,328. Let me show you the real cost. If you pay $600,000 for a property, we get a conventional loan, and the interest rate is 3%. So we're talking a 30-year fixed rate loan. There are 5 economic benefits to real estate, meaning you're making money 5 different ways. Let me show you a few of these ways and what this means in dollars and cents to you. You will have, on this property, you would have $16,937 would be mortgage interest that you will pay on that mortgage over the course of the year. Mortgage interest on your home is tax deductible up to a loan amount of $750,000. Now, if you're already a homeowner and you were to turn your home into a rental, then that $750,000 limit goes away. So on rentals, there is no limit on tax deduction for the mortgage interest or property taxes. But if it's your home and you're living there, then there is this tax deduction. Now, while we're on the topic of taxes, the current administration is about to increase taxes pretty significantly across the board in different areas of corporate America, investment, and the average consumer. Now, right now, in the current tax law has a $10,000 ceiling on state income taxes that you can pay. So if you have a job where, let's say you're making $100,000 a year, and California's state income tax is tiered, it goes up to about 14%. But let's just say hypothetically you're making $100,000 and your tax bracket's 10% on the state of California. That's $10,000. So you would have hit the cap on the most that you could write off on state income taxes, which would be the $10,000. So my point is this property tax that you're paying, you wouldn't get this deduction. Now, if your income is less than that, you may get some of this. So in this exercise, we're not giving you any credit for a property tax deduction. Now, with the new tax bill that's coming out from the current administration, We're going to see tax rates go up, but they're talking about eliminating that $10,000 ceiling. We might be able to get this back. All right, so you can see we didn't include this. So we're taking the $16,937. That's the only tax deduction we're including, which is the mortgage interest. And let's say you're in a 30% tax bracket. This is federal tax, so we're saying basically about 20% federal tax, 10% state tax. So you have 30% combined income tax bracket. So we take 30% of your mortgage interest, which means you have a $5,000 savings. So how that works is if you have $100,000 in income and we write off almost $17,000, you end up saving $5,000 a year in taxes. So what you can do is you can increase your dependents or your deductions and increase your take-home pay by this amount and basically be kind of a net wash. So if you were to increase your dependents and increase your take-home pay by, in this case, over $400 a month, that's really beneficial. Your mortgage principal reduction. Now here's what that means. When you're making a mortgage payment, you have interest on your principal. So your loan payment is two components: the interest and then the principal reduction. The principal reduction just simply means your loan balance is going down each month. But here's the point: mortgage principal reduction is not lost money. See, when you write a check for rent, $3,000 a month in rent payment is 100% lost money. That money you'll never get back. But when you write a percentage of it for principal reduction, it's like a savings account. Your loan balance is going down. So here's what's happening when you own a house. The property value is going up, the loan balance is going down, and you're building wealth, and you're building radical wealth growth on autopilot without saving money. I'm going to show you what that looks like and quantify that for you in dollars and cents. But here's the point: is you're making $5,000 here that you're not making when you rent, and you're making $11,900 here when you're renting. You're not making that, but these are two things that you're making when you own. So basically, $16,982 or almost $17,000 is kept money. Where in rent, it's 100% lost money. We divide this by 12, and here's what this means: is you are actually saving $1,415 a month. So if we take your mortgage payment, this is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, $3,328. Subtract the tax refund you're getting, the money you're getting back, subtract the money that you're saving in principal reduction. Your real cost, your actual cost to own that property is only $1,913 a month. So if you're paying $3,000 a month in rent and your actual cost to own that same property is only $1,913, the real estate advantage is you're saving $1,087 a month or $13,000 a month. So you see, when you think of that trick question, when is $3,000 not $3,000? It's when you're owning versus renting. So the reality is this $3,000 in rent is your pure cost of lost money, and your homeowner cost is only $1,913, $1,087 less. But it gets better than that. Let's say you buy it for $600,000 and the property goes up 4% a year. Now, 4% is very conservative. All the numbers I'm going to show you this are very conservative. The average appreciation rate, which means the average amount real estate property has been going up in the state of California, this is the entire state, is 7.3% a year for the last 53 years. 7.3 average for 50 years. I'm only using 4%. So this is a super conservative number. And by the way, in the last 12 months, real estate nationwide, the whole country, which normally averages 5%, has gone up 20%. Riverside and San Bernardino are over 20%, like 22, 23%. LA and Orange County are around 18%. I'm only using 4%. So you would have made $13,000, all right, and say plus 24,000. Look at your total savings, $37,000 because of these economic benefits of real estate. And we haven't covered all of them. We've covered the tax benefits, we've covered the principal reduction, and we've covered the appreciation. All right, there's still two more economic benefits, but we'll come back to that. So that's the first thing, is that owning real estate is far cheaper than renting, number one, but number two is the wealth growth through the appreciation is mind-blowing. Now, I call the utility value of real estate the secret sauce to real estate. And here's why I say that. The secret sauce basically means this. When you have a competitive advantage over another investment, that makes it impossible for the other investment to compete. For real estate, it's the utility value. Here's what that means. Let's say you're a renter and you put $120,000 into your 401k that goes into stock. Well, you're going to get $120,000 worth of stock certificates. What can you do with stock certificates? Can you live in stock certificates? Can you use them? I mean, you can use them for basically wallpaper. That's about it. They have no utility value. You can't use them for anything. All right. Because of that, you have to live someplace. So let's say you're renting. Now, let's say your stock portfolio goes up a net of 8%. Now, when I'm saying 8%, to have a net, if you have a 401k or an IRA, these people don't manage your 401k or IRA for free. They're going to charge you fees, and it's usually about 1 to 1.5%, which means your actual return on investment would have to be 9, 9.5. The stock market has averaged about 8% over the past 50 years. So we're using 8%. Let's say you're paying $3,000 a month for rent, because you got to live someplace, because you can't live in your stocks, right? Rent, let's say, go up 4%. Now, California's statewide average is about 4% per year. LA and Orange County, and now Riverside and San Bernardino are significantly higher, more like 5, 5.5%. But we're only using 4%. In 30 years, this $120,000 at 8% would turn into $1,207,000. But because you can't live in your stocks and you're renting, you would have paid over $2 million in rent. You can see that you're upside down $811,000. See, the truth of the matter, if you're renting and later retirement, you're going to fail because there's no utility value to stocks. You're actually losing money every single month. You're going backwards financially. This is why it's virtually impossible for renters to ever retire. Now, let's say you take the same 120 grand, which is 20% down on a $600,000 property. But you don't need 20% down. You can buy with little or even no money down, and I'll come back to that a little bit later. But I'm using 120,000 just to create kind of an apples and apples scenario. So 20% down, 120,000, just like the stocks. But now, instead of having an asset worth 120, you have an asset worth 600,000. So where do you think you're going to make more money, on 120,000 or 600,000? Let's say the property goes up 5% a year. Here's your mortgage payment. In 30 years, the property's well, you can see 2.5 million, 93,166. 2,593,165, more than double the stock portfolio. You would have paid $1,180,407, of almost half of what you would have paid rent, because you got a 30-year fixed rate. Payments never go up. We have $90,000 for carpet and paint, things like that. After we deduct this, your net gain on your home, because of the utility value, is $1,320,000, $1,322,000, where a renter would have gone backwards $811,000. And here's the point. The utility value, meaning your ability to live in the house, is the difference between this number, negative 811, and positive 1.3. or about 2.1 million. So the utility value, or the ability to live in the real estate that stock doesn't have, is worth about $2 million. Now let's say you're a homeowner and we take these same numbers and you say, hey, I'm going to rent my house. And now we're renting your house for $3,000. So you go buy another house, you turn your house into a rental. Now let's compare that to stocks. Property values over $2.5 million, more than double. This is only at 5%. If we use the 53-year average of 7.3, this is going to be more like $3.5 million. Here's your expenses for the property. Now we add in the utility value, or the ability to rent the property. We've increased the expenses because we've added in a property manager and to increase maintenance fees and repairs, things like that. We have a net gain of over 3 million and only 5% growth, not 7.3, versus stocks of 1,270,000. So it's almost triple, and we use 8%. So we slanted the deck in favor of stocks significantly, and real estate still blew away stocks. And that's the utility value. Now, the next thing I'm going to share with you is, see, real estate is the fastest way to grow wealth because it is the only asset that you can make money 5 different ways. Now, I'm going to repeat that. Real estate is literally, it is the only investment, period, that you can put money into and make money 5 different ways simultaneously, without saving money, without that struggle of saving money, without that burden of saving money, on autopilot, and you can grow wealth in an amazing rate. Now, I have a little presentation that I'm going to show you right now on how this real estate wealth growth works. And what I do is I use poker chips. So I'm going to show you this little presentation that I put together. But what I need to do is I need to take the camera off of me and hold on, I gotta put this on. Take it off the screen. All right, so now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tilt my camera down so you can see my desk a little better. Okay, now let's see. Let's turn this. There we go. Okay. All right. Now let's say these red chips represent your money. So let's say you put $1 in the bank. $1 in the bank, and you get 1% interest. So $1, 1%. Now the truth is, I went to the bank recently to set up an account at a different bank, and I couldn't believe how low the rate was. The rate was about 1/4 of 1%. So it's about 1/4 of this. But for simplicity, we're just going to use 1%. All right. There are 3 major problems with putting money in the bank. Problem number 1 is the interest rate they're going to pay you is like nothing. Problem number 2 is you're actually losing money because of inflation. Inflation right now is running over 5%. Southern California, it's even higher. In other words, if our cost of living is 5.5%, and you're making 1/4, you're negative every month by almost that 5%. So inflation is the second problem. But here's the biggest problem, why I created the poker chip presentation. This is called linear wealth growth, meaning you're only making money on your money. Now, let's say we put another $1 in your 401k or IRA and you get 8%. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. Way better than the bank, right? This is the 50-year average. And everybody's saying, oh, you got to put your money in the stock market. 65% of the people have their retirement plan in their 401k or IRA. Well, there are 3 major problems with doing that. Here's the first problem. You put your money into your 401k or IRA every month. So you're putting this money in. When you're putting the money in, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever it is, you're looking and saying, hey, I got to save all this money because one day I want to retire. Well, the savings amount basically becomes like a bill. You got to pay that money. You're paying it to your future you, right? But here's my point: is it's affecting your lifestyle today because you can't use that money because you have to pour it into this 401k because you hope to retire. So you're living in a lower lifestyle. So maybe you're living in a smaller house. Your kids are you have less money for your kids, for schooling and so on. All right, so one of the first problems with that. Next is when the money is in a 401k or IRA, it doesn't help you along the way. There's no income from your 401k in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or even 50s. It's not till you're 59 and a half before you can start to receive monthly income. Wouldn't it be nice if you could get $250, $500 a month, $1,000 a month every month right now from your 401k or IRA? You can't do that with the 401k IRA. Otherwise, you're going to charge with penalty. But we can do it through real estate, where you can create supplemental income. I call it non-employment income right now, and have it be tax-free, which is even better. And that's something we can show you. But here's again the last problem, and the biggest problem of the 401k or the IRA, and putting it in the stock market here, is it's linear wealth growth. Again, you're only making money on your money and the money you're saving. You're making money one way. You're never going to get rich making money one way. Let's compare it to real estate. Let's say you take $1, just like the stock market, and you borrow $9 from the bank. So this is 10% down. Now keep in mind, you don't need 10%. You can buy literally with no money down. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But again, for apples and apples, $1, you borrow $9 from the bank. You have a $10 asset. Now, where do you think you're going to make more money? On $10 asset or one? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Got this much bigger stack, right? You're going to be making money, far more money, on the real estate than you are on your stock market. So 5%, we're going to do 8% stock return, only 5% in real estate. 5% of $1 is only 5 cents. But 5% of $10 is 50 cents. So let me show you what that looks like. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. All right, now we've only covered two economic events. The first one is leverage. So you're making money on the bank's money. So see, the bank loans you 90% or 95 or even 100% of the money, and the bank owns 0% of the property. Let me repeat that. The bank could loan you 90, 95, 97, 100%, and they own nothing of the property. You own 100%. Because you own 100%, you get 100% of the profit. Now you have a contract we call a mortgage loan, right, where you're making payments and paying them interest, but you're paying interest at like 2 3/4 to 3% right now. But this is the second economic benefit. There's 5. There's only 2. So we have 3 more. The next one is principal reduction. Now, I said to you, every time you make a payment, your loan balance is going down and you're building more wealth. Next is we have tax benefits. So we talked about that earlier, the tax write-offs that you get. Now, again, if you turn your house, if you own a house already and turn it to rental, then you get the full mortgage interest, property tax, but when you get another huge tax write-off, which is called depreciation, and that is worth 10, 15, 20,000 or even more depending on the price of your property. But that's a huge tax write-off. Renters don't get any of that. But here's the last one, and the best of all, which is what we talked about, which is now you can sell the utility of the house because you have land and a structure, where in stocks you just have paper. You have this land and a structure. Either you can use it and you can enjoy the benefits of that utility, or you can sell it. And when we say sell the utility, we call it rent, right? You rent it to a tenant. The tenant pays you money. But here's the next major benefit. So this is the 5 economic benefits, right? Same $1. You can see the wealth growth, and this is every single year. Now here's the amazing part of this. 65% of the people are over here. 8% are here. How is that possible? How is it possible that 65% believe the 401k or IRA in the stock market is their path to wealth, financial security, and retirement? And less than 10% believe in real estate. And this is why I created the Mark 1 Real Estate Wealth Academy. Because nobody knows this stuff, because nobody's teaching it. The wealthy know this stuff, but the middle class do not know it. But let me tell you, as good as this is, let me show you something even better. So let's say you own this property, and I'm the bank. I loaned you this 90%. You buy the property. You move in. You only have your $1, your 10%. I loan you this money. And then you say, you know what? I think I'm going to turn this into a rental and go do this again. And you go buy a new house, you move there, and you rent it. So now you're renting it. So this is the renter's money, okay? This is my money that I loaned you. You sell the utility to a renter. The renter pays their money pays my loan off. So I'm going to repeat that. I loan you this money. The renter pays my loan off. So if I loan you all this money, 90% or more of the property, and someone else pays this loan off or my loan off, doesn't that make the money I loaned you free money? And the answer is absolutely makes it free money. There is no other asset where you can accumulate hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars of free money than real estate. Real estate is the only one. And yet nobody knows this because nobody teaches it. This is your secret path to serious wealth. There's no other way to get there like this. What I just showed you is how to grow your wealth at 6 and 7 times the speed of the stock market and your 401k without saving money and accumulating millions of dollars of free money on autopilot. I hope you're getting excited. I get excited. You can tell I get excited because I become a multi-millionaire by learning these secrets. And I'm going to show you how we can get you to the same place. It's mind-blowing to me that no one has ever taught this stuff before. All right, so here's where we get started. All right, first question is, can you buy? Are you in a place right now where you have the capability of buying now? Here's how we determine that. One, do you have a job? All right, so hopefully you have a job. If you don't have a job, then there's nothing to talk about, right? Unless you got a ton of money in investment income. All right, so are you employed or are you self-employed? Here's why that's important. Is there are many kinds of, I mean, it's crazy how many loan programs there are out there. Self-employed people, a lot of times they have all kinds of tax deductions. They have great income, gross, but then they write everything off, and so their taxable income is really low. So they are not able to qualify for a typical government loan like an FHA or a VA loan. But there's all kinds of other loan programs they can qualify for because we don't need tax returns. Okay, so self-employed, don't worry about if you're self-employed and you don't show any income on your tax returns. There are loan programs available to you. Now, if you're employed, it's simpler. We just take your pay stubs and your W-2s and we work the numbers from there. Credit score. Credit score is critically important, but here's what I'm going to tell you about credit score. Low credit scores can still buy it. That's the good news. Let me tell you the bad news is the interest rate that you're charged it's called risk-based scoring. So what that means is this. The greater the risk you are, the higher the interest rate they're going to charge you. So here are the factors that affect risk. The more down payment you put, then the lower the risk to the lender, and then the higher the risk to you because you're pouring all this money. The less down payment, so if you put no money down, then you're obviously a lot bigger risk than someone that puts 20% down. So that's one thing, is the amount of money you invest in the property is part of the risk. Next is your credit score. That's a big part of it. So if you have a low credit score, that doesn't mean you can't buy. You can still buy, but here's what we should do, is we don't want to have you pay an interest rate, that's 0.5% to even 0.75% higher than everybody else. It's easy to clean up credit. It's really not that difficult, and we can help you with that process. All right, next is down payment and closing costs. I know so many people that believe you have to have 20% down to buy, and they wait and they wait and they wait, and they're saving and they're saving and saving, and the truth of the matter is they're going backwards because the prices are going up way faster than they can save. You don't need 20% down. You don't need 10% down. You don't need 5% down. You can literally buy with no money down. There are all kinds of down payment assistance programs that'll cover your down payment and your closing costs. So you can get in with like next to nothing, like $500, and that's it. But I will tell you this, you have to have decent credit, meaning you have to have about a mid 600 FICO score. So if you have below that, like 620, 580, that kind of thing, the down payment assistance is out. But if you have a lower FICO score and you have at least 3 to 3.5% down, we can still get you into a property. All right, and next is the property in the appraisal. And that's where we will show you how to analyze properties so that you know what a good buy is from a bad buy. You know, when you're dealing with a salesperson, every property is a good buy, right? They just want you to write up the contract. You need to know how to run the numbers, and we're going to show you how to run the numbers in trading because it's so super simple. But we will train you on how to run the numbers so you can line up and look at 5 different properties or 10 properties and know which ones are the good deals like that. All right, first-time buyer program. There are all kinds of first-time buyer programs. And here's what I mean by first-time buyer. Here's the good news. If you're buying your first property, you are eligible for all kinds of programs by the federal government, by the state of California, and even cities and counties have special programs. And so the first part is your first-time buyer makes you eligible for a lot. Now, there are other categories like certain cities and certain county areas where they will give you better interest rates and better programs, but you have to have, there are income ceilings. So if you're a high income earner, meaning like over 100 grand a year, you're not going to be eligible for most of these first-time homebuyers because you make too much money. But if you're lower in income, you're going to be eligible for all kinds of first-time buyer programs. All right, next is conventional loan programs. There's all kinds of conventional loan programs. Conventional is a great way to go. Those are the cheapest loans, the lowest rates, lowest fees, lowest everything. But they're also the most stringent in their packaging. Government loan programs, FHA and VA, very liberal. They have government insurance, which gets financed on the loan. So it's not money you have to come out of your pocket. They put mortgage insurance on the loan. It's a great way to get into a property, but we want to get out of those loans as soon as we can so they can get rid of the mortgage insurance. So it's a good way to get in, but within a year or two, you can get out of it and get rid of the mortgage insurance. And as I mentioned before, the down payment and closing cost assistance, there's all kinds of programs available to you. So we talked about this. Now, here's where I talk about other types of loan programs. There's owner-occupied loan programs, and there's investor loan programs. So occupancy is a huge deal. If you're living there, you can get, it's easy to get loans. If it comes to investor, then it starts to trim down a little bit. We talked about conventional and FHA. Now, here's the other thing, non-QM or non-qualified. Here's what that means. After the financial meltdown, there's all kinds of new laws. And they created specific requirements that people have to qualify before what caused the financial meltdown is lenders were just giving money to anybody, and they have to qualify. Now you have to qualify, but they have loosened the guidelines and created a separate category, which is called non-qualified mortgage, where it's easier to qualify. They will stretch the ratios as far as income, they'll stretch the credit requirements and things like that. But there's all kinds of programs that, and I'm telling you, a lot of banks out there don't touch these kind of loans. They don't know anything about these loans. They just have their own little conventional loan program. So that's something we can help you out and make you aware of that. Next is for investors. The same thing is the conventional and the non-QM loans are available for investors. So if you're looking to buy your first rental property, or you have a couple rentals and you're going to the next level. Income qualification, the debt ratios are really variable. If you're going with down payment assistance, no money down, the debt ratios are the most conservative. So that's where what that means is your expenses, your mortgage expenses, meaning the cost of the house plus your bills, are going to be the lowest percentage of your income. It's around 43% is the maximum on some of these down payment assistance. As you start putting money down, it'll go up to 45, 49, even up to 55. And if you're a veteran, I've seen it go as high as 60 or even 65% of your income. So ratios is a big deal. And doing the income calculation, we will do the income calculations for you, and whether you're employed or self-employed, whether you get overtime or salary, bonuses, all of these factors. As I talked about before, credit scores is a big deal. You can still buy with some lower credit scores, but they're going to charge you more for the interest rate. I think a smarter strategy, if your credit score is under 600, then here's, to me, a better strategy is we get you into credit repair, we get that cleaned up. It's better to wait 3 to 6 months, get your credit score up above 600, get it at least in the 650, 660 range or better, because we're going to save you a ton of money. Because once you get into a property, you're going to live with this mortgage, generally speaking, for a while, and so we want to save you a bunch of money. So, 3 to 6 month delay is no big deal. All right, and we'll go through your credit history with you. So we should run a credit report and look and see everything that's on there. If you already have one, then that's great. We can review that. There's a thing called rapid rescore. There's some simple things that you can do that we can coach you on this and walk you through this process, and within a week, get your credit score up pretty significantly. So there's credit repair. That's a longer process, but rapid rescore it's a simple, fast process, but it'll get your credit up maybe 20, 30 points is kind of the normal range. If we need to get it up more than that, 50, 60 or more points, then we need to go into the credit repair or credit improvement program. All right, the down payment assistance, there's many programs. Here are two of the more popular ones. The CalHFA is the state of California. This, I think, is the best program because it's the cheapest. You're going to get, when I say it's the least cost to you. We can get into that and get you all the guidelines on top of it because that's very involved. But that's a program we like. Chenoa is another program. These programs fit in where Chenoa will give down payment assistance to more. They're more flexible, so more people can get this down payment assistance than you can from the state. State's a little bit more stringent, but the state's cheaper. So if the state doesn't work for you, we can look at Chenoa. The other thing you can do with Chenoa is you can buy duplexes. You can go, 2 units. Can't do that with the state. And there are other programs. These are just 2 of them. There are plenty more. But here's the point: if you've been waiting because you don't have down payment, don't wait anymore. We need to get into the consultation and address that. The property and the appraisal. I'm sure you've heard this term: location, location, locate. Location is huge. There's no doubt about it. You want to have the best location possible, but also condition. Most buyers want to buy a property that's in pristine shape. Here's the problem with that: is you have a ton of competition because everybody wants to buy the pristine property. Ton of competition means you're going to get 10, 20 offers, and then you're going to pay through the nose. Prices get run way up. There are renovation loans, home renovation loans, where you can buy a house that's a fixer-upper, and we can get you the property you can buy with minimal down, get into it, and then they're going to loan you the money based on the improved value, and then you can fix the house up and make it the way you want it. But what's great is you can get a deal because you won't have hardly any competition, because most people don't know about these programs, and they're out there, everybody's looking, and they're saying, hey, I gotta have, everything's got, I want brand new carpet, I want brand new paint, I want brand new countertop, and then you pay way over the asking price. And I'm sure you've seen that. People are asking $700,000 and they're selling it for $775,000. Condition is a good thing. Find the fixtures. We can get you. You're going to get a much better deal, and we can help you with that financing. You want to have an inspection. Most people today, they're getting an inspection, but bring an inspection company unless you're a contractor, a super expert at that. We want to know what the repair costs, and we'll get the property appraised so that you can know. Don't just rely on Zillow's estimate. Okay, Zillow will get you in the ballpark, but Zillow is rarely right. All right, so next is selecting a real estate agent. How much do you value knowledge? Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. When I was young, I didn't value knowledge. I was so fired up. I got in this business right out of high school. I spent 1 semester at college because I didn't value the knowledge. And boy, man, I suffered for that. I learned the hard way. Knowledge matters. You want to work with knowledgeable people. And I have spent my whole life reading umpteen books and investing and being in seminars, and I've learned a lot. And I've learned how wealth growth works. And here's my point. Most real estate agents are trained to sell. They don't know, because they're not trained in the wealth growth and financial dynamics. That's why I created the Mark One Real Estate Wealth Academy. You go to mark1wealthacademy.com and you'll see where we're at, and we have a lot of agents that are part of our programs. I want to encourage you to work with one of our approved real estate wealth advisors. There is a dramatic, and I mean dramatically difference, it's not even close, between the knowledge of the people that we have trained, the agents that we have trained, into real estate wealth advisors and a salesperson. Huge difference. And here are some of the things we talk about is sales agents are trained in property data. Here's what that means. Sale prices, the things you see on Zillow, that's property data. Sale price, bedrooms, baths, all of that stuff. They know that. Anybody knows that. That's easy. Here's what they're not trained in. Any agent you're talking to, ask them, do you know the 5 economic benefits of real estate? And watch their jaw drop. They're going to go, no. Can you explain to me what the utility value of real estate is? They're going to look at you with a blank look, like, no. All right, what about return on investment? If I buy this property, what do you think my return on investment? Can you calculate that for me? No. Can you show me between these 5 properties I'm considering what the cap rates are on these 5 rates, the capitalization rate, so I can better determine which one is the best priced property and the best investment? They're going to go, no. I can just tell you bedrooms and baths. I can fill out an offer and submit it for you online. They're not real estate wealth advisors. They don't know the financial dynamics. I am telling you, 95% are in that category. This is why I bring this, and this is why we're bringing this education to you. There is literally nothing more important to your financial success, your financial security, and you living the life that you want to live than owning real estate, because there's no faster or safer way to build the wealth. But most of these agents, like 95%, haven't been trained. You can see I'm very passionate about that. This is my life purpose right now, is to change that, because you deserve that. You need to get on this path of financial security and having to get in a place where you can retire and be secure, and your family you can create a legacy of wealth. The next step is to get started. You can go to mark1wealthacademy.com, click on contact, and schedule a consultation. We can do it in person or we can do it online. There's no cost. All of this is free. Here's where we make our money. We make our money is on helping you with the financing, and we will connect you with professional, independent real estate and wealth advisors. If you have an agent you really want to work with, maybe they're family or a friend, and you ask them those questions, they're not going to know the answers. They're going to be blank. But just say, look, reach out and say, hey, Mark, I really want to work with this person. Can you coach them up? Can you help them to help me? And we will do that. I'm not here to put anybody down. I'm here to help you and protect you and get you on the right path to wealth growth and financial security. But I'm just telling you, they don't know. And we will help them. But you got to talk to them and say, hey, I want you to team up with Mark, and we're going to coach you up. Oh, by the way, this is my book, Why the Rich Stay Rich and the Poor Stay Poor. If we get into a consultation, I will give you one of these books, or you can go on Amazon and buy the book. This book will change your life. Chapters, if you're a reader, read all of it. But if you're not a reader, read chapter 3 and 4. There is nobody, I didn't learn this in books. I didn't learn this in classes. I learned this the hard way with my money through experience. And I put everything I've learned over 4 years into this book. Chapter 3 is why real estate is the fastest and safest path to wealth. You saw a lot of this with the poker chips today and the utility value. Chapter 4 is called the science of building wealth. And I teach the 7 principles to growing wealth. You won't learn this anyplace else. This is what we do in our consultation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what took me decades to learn in a 1-hour consultation. I'm going to show you how to go from zero, where I started at zero, no money, no experience, no knowledge, and go from zero to a multi-million-dollar net worth. That is very real. In fact, last Saturday, I had a presentation I did, that I do every month now. It's a presentation that has never been done before. It's titled, How to Build a $10 Million Net Worth Through Real Estate. And I show you through that exact process. Go to my website, mark1wealthacademy.com, and you can register for our next event. When you see that, you will be blown away. Last thing I have for you. Here's why the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. Why I titled my book. It's belief. I grew up in poverty, in a family with nobody had high school diplomas, let alone college degrees. Nobody had any money, and no one had any belief. 90% of the people believe that they will never change their life circumstance. Poor will stay poor, middle class will stay middle class, and rich will stay rich. Changing our beliefs is the hardest thing we will ever do. Number two is know-how. That's why we built this Wealth Academy. That's why I'm doing these webinars. We have the know-how. I learned this the hard way. We can teach you this, get you on the path, and show you what to do. In our consultation, I don't care where you are in life, we will show you exactly what to do step by step and how to build a multi-million-dollar net worth. It is doable. But next is you got to take action. And here's the sad reality. Because 90% of the people don't believe, they won't take action. And I don't know what to do with that. I'm telling you, you have to believe and take action. This is my favorite verse in the Bible. According to your faith, be it unto you. And here's why. Here's what this is saying. According to what you believe will come to pass. And that's what this is. If you don't believe you can live the good life, that you can be financially secure, that you can provide the life of your dream to your family and to your children, it won't happen. But if you believe and you are brave enough to reach out and take these steps and take the action, I will show you the know-how. My team will show you the know-how. We've trained these people, our loan officers and the agents, and we will provide you the step-by-step process, and you will grasp it. You will, just like in this presentation. I know you understand what I show you, but we can change your life in a powerful and profound way and put you on a course where you never have to worry about saving money again. And you can build wealth at a level your 401k never imagined and get you to the place that you want to get.